Jake Morrison crawled through the narrow air vent on his hands and knees, his small flashlight showing the way ahead. The metal walls pressed close around him as he moved deeper into the belly of the space station. Most people couldn't fit in these tight spaces, but Jake was used to it. At 26 years old, he stood only 5 feet 6 inches tall and weighed barely 140 pounds. His co-workers often joked that he was built for crawling through spaces where normal people couldn't go. The air recycler unit number 7 was making strange noises again. Jake had fixed it 3 times this month, but the old machine kept breaking down. He reached the maintenance panel and pulled out his tools. The screwdriver felt familiar in his hands as he opened the metal cover. Inside, wires and circuits hummed with electricity. Jake knew every part of this machine like he knew his own bedroom. "Jake, you there?" The voice came through his radio. It was Danny Walsh, his supervisor. "Yeah, I'm here. Just checking on Recycler 7 again." "Good. When you're done, Commander Brooks wants to see you in her office." Jake paused. The commander never wanted to see maintenance workers unless something was really wrong. "Did I break something?" Danny laughed. "No, nothing like that. Just finish up and head over there." Jake went back to his work. The problem was a loose wire connection, just like he thought. He fixed it in 10 minutes and crawled back out of the vent. His blue maintenance uniform was dirty with dust and oil stains, but that was normal. Jake always looked like he had been working, because he always was working. The New Horizons space station was home to 300 humans and served as a meeting place for different alien species. It floated in space near a planet called Kepler 442b, far from Earth. Jake had lived here for 5 years, ever since he finished technical school. His job was simple: fix things when they broke. Air recyclers, water pumps, lights, doors, computers. If it stopped working, Jake made it work again. He walked through the main corridor toward Commander Brooks's office. The hallway was wide and bright, with big windows showing the stars outside. Sometimes alien ships could be seen in the distance, but Jake was too busy with his work to look at the stars very often. Other humans passed by him without much notice. There was Dr. Amy Rodriguez, who studied alien animals and plants. She was tall and smart, always carrying data tablets and talking about her research. Captain Steve Miller walked by in his security uniform, looking serious as always. He was responsible for keeping everyone safe on the station. Jake knocked on Commander Brooks's office door. "Come in," she said. Lisa Brooks was in her 40s and had been running the station for 8 years. She sat behind a big desk covered with reports and computer screens. Her gray uniform was clean and pressed, very different from Jake's dirty work clothes. "Jake, sit down. I have something to tell you." Jake sat in the chair across from her desk. He wondered if he had done something wrong. "Tomorrow we're having some important visitors," Commander Brooks said. "Representatives from the Quantum Council are coming to discuss trade agreements. I need you to make sure all the environmental systems are working perfectly. Can you handle that?" Jake nodded. "Sure. I'll check everything twice." "Good. These meetings are very important for our relations with other species in the galaxy. We can't have any technical problems." After Jake left the commander's office, he went to the station's main engineering section. Chief Engineer Alex Carter was there, looking at holographic displays of the station's systems. Alex was a big man with thick arms and a beard. He had been Jake's first supervisor when Jake started working on the station. "Hey, Jake," Alex said without looking away from his screens. "Ready for tomorrow's dog and pony show?" Commander Brooks said it's important. "Everything's important when aliens are involved," Alex said. "They're always judging us, you know, wondering if we humans are worth their time." Jake had heard this before. When humans first traveled to other star systems 50 years ago, most alien species were surprised. Humans were small and weak compared to most other intelligent life forms. They had no natural weapons like claws or fangs. Their skin was soft and easy to cut. Many aliens wondered how such fragile creatures had managed to build spaceships and travel between stars. The Vorthak Empire, whose members stood 12 feet tall and had acid for spit, had laughed when they first met humans. They expected humans to become their slaves or food. Even the more peaceful species in the Quantum Council thought humans might not survive long in the dangerous galaxy. But humans had surprised everyone. They were good at solving problems and working together. They built strong ships and smart machines. They made friends with some alien species and avoided fights with the dangerous ones. Slowly, other species began to respect humans, though many still saw them as weak. Jake spent the rest of his day checking every system on the station. He tested the air recyclers, water purifiers, gravity generators, and power systems. Everything had to work perfectly for tomorrow's meeting. He crawled through maintenance tunnels, climbed into machinery spaces, and used his tools to adjust and repair dozens of different machines. As he worked, Jake could hear other crew members preparing for the aliens' visit. Dr. Rodriguez was organizing her research data to show the visitors. Captain Miller was training his security team on proper greeting procedures for different alien species. Commander Brooks was practicing her welcome speech. Jake didn't think much about politics or diplomacy. His job was to keep the machines running, and he was good at it. He understood how things worked and how to fix them when they broke. It was simple and logical, unlike the complicated relationships between different species in the galaxy. That evening, Jake ate dinner alone in the station's cafeteria. He usually ate by himself, reading technical manuals or maintenance reports while he ate. Other crew members sat in groups, talking about their work or their families back on Earth. Jake didn't mind being alone. He had always been quiet and preferred working with machines to talking with people. After dinner, Jake went to his small quarters to sleep. His room had a bed, a desk, and a closet for his clothes. On the desk were several technical books and a picture of his parents from Earth. They were proud that their son worked on an important space station, even if his job wasn't glamorous. Jake lay in bed looking out his small window at the stars. Tomorrow would be another day of work, making sure everything functioned properly while important people had their meetings. He didn't know that in less than 24 hours, everything would change. He didn't know that the visitors coming tomorrow would bring news of something much more dangerous than trade negotiations. He didn't know that the galaxy's most feared predator was heading toward their small station, or that soon he would face a challenge that would change how every species in the galaxy thought about humans. Jake Morrison, the quiet maintenance worker who fixed broken things, was about to become the most famous human in the galaxy. But now he just closed his eyes and went to sleep, ready for another ordinary day of work. Jake woke up to the sound of alarms screaming through the station. Red warning lights flashed in his small room, and his communication device was buzzing with emergency messages. He jumped out of bed and grabbed his uniform, pulling it on as fast as he could. The hallways were full of people running in different directions. Jake had never seen the crew so scared before. He caught sight of Dr. Rodriguez hurrying past with her research equipment in her arms. "What's happening?" Jake called out to her. "Unknown ships just appeared," she shouted back without stopping. "Big ones. Commander Brooks called for emergency stations." Jake ran toward the main control room. Through the station's large windows, he could see massive dark shapes against the stars. The ships were huge, much bigger than any human vessel. They looked like giant insects made of black metal, with sharp edges and glowing red lights. Jake had never seen anything like them before. In the control room, Commander Brooks stood in front of several screens showing the alien ships. Her face was pale and worried. Captain Miller was next to her, talking quickly into his communication device. Chief Engineer Carter was checking system readings on his computer screens. "How many ships?" Commander Brooks asked. 7 large vessels," Captain Miller replied. "The biggest one is twice the size of our station." Jake stayed near the back of the room, not wanting to get in the way. He watched the screens showing the alien fleet. The ships had a frightening look to them, like they were built for war rather than exploration or trade. "Are they responding to our messages?" Commander Brooks asked. "Not yet," said Lieutenant Ben Parker, the communications officer. "Wait, I'm getting something now." The main screen changed to show the inside of one of the alien ships. Jake felt his blood turn cold when he saw what appeared on the screen. The creature looking back at them was like something from a nightmare. It stood over 10 feet tall and was covered in hard, dark armor that looked like it grew from its skin. Its head was long and narrow, with 6 bright yellow eyes arranged in 2 rows. Its mouth opened to show rows of sharp teeth, and when it spoke, Jake could see that its tongue was black and moved like a snake. "I am War Prime Zekthor of the Krillian Empire," the creature said. Its voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. "You are the humans we have heard about." Commander Brooks stepped forward. "I am Commander Lisa Brooks of the Human Research Station New Horizon. Welcome to our system. How can we help you?" The alien made a sound that might have been laughing, but it was not a pleasant sound. "Help? You think we need help from prey?" Jake felt everyone in the room become very still. He had heard of the Krillians before, but only in whispered stories. They were supposed to be the most dangerous hunters in the galaxy. No species had ever defeated them in battle. "We did not come here for help," Zekthor continued. "We came to see for ourselves what makes you humans special. The galaxy talks about your kind. They say you are weak and small, yet you spread to many worlds. They say you make friends with other species instead of eating them. This puzzles us. We prefer cooperation to conflict," Commander Brooks said carefully. "Perhaps we could arrange a meeting to discuss cultural exchange." "Cultural exchange?" Zekthor's 6 eyes seemed to glow brighter. "There is only one culture that matters. The strong eat the weak. This is the way of the universe." Captain Miller stepped forward. "Our species may be physically smaller, but we have other strengths." "Other strengths?" Zekthor leaned closer to the screen. "Show me these strengths. I challenge your strongest warrior to face me in combat. If your champion wins, we will leave your space and tell others that humans are worthy of respect. If your champion loses, we will take this station and everyone on it as our prize." The control room became completely silent. Jake could hear his own heartbeat pounding in his ears. Everyone knew what happened when the Krillians took prisoners. The stories were terrible. "What kind of combat?" Commander Brooks asked. "Simple combat. No weapons, no armor, no machines. Just flesh against flesh in a fighting circle. The way nature intended." Captain Miller immediately stepped forward. "I accept the challenge." Jake looked at Captain Miller. The man was 6 feet tall and had trained in combat his whole life, but he looked tiny compared to the massive alien on the screen. Miller was strong for a human, but Zekthor was more than twice his size and covered in natural armor. "Good," Zekthor said. "We will transport a fighting arena to your station. You have 1 hour to prepare your champion. All beings on the station may watch, so they can see what happens to those who challenge the Krillian Empire." The screen went dark. For a moment, nobody spoke. "Sir," Lieutenant Parker said quietly, "the other alien species on the station are requesting permission to leave immediately." "Granted," Commander Brooks said. "Get them out of here as fast as possible." Jake watched as the crew began preparing for what everyone believed would be Captain Miller's death. The captain went to get ready for the fight, while Dr. Rodriguez started recording everything for the historical record. Chief Engineer Carter began checking the station's defenses, though everyone knew they were useless against the Krillian fleet. Through the windows, Jake could see a large metal structure being moved from one of the Krillian ships toward the station. It was the fighting arena, a circular platform surrounded by energy barriers. Once the fight began, there would be no way out until one fighter was dead or completely defeated. Jake left the control room and walked through the station corridors. The hallways that had been busy with aliens from different species were now empty. The traders, diplomats, and researchers had all fled as soon as they heard the Krillians were here. Only the humans remained. He found himself in the observation deck looking out at the Krillian ships. Each vessel was covered in weapon systems and armor plating. Jake had spent his whole life fixing machines, and he could tell these ships were built for only one purpose: destroying other ships and killing their crews. Captain Miller appeared next to him at the window. The man had changed into simple clothing for the fight. "Scared?" Miller asked. "Yes," Jake said honestly. "Good. Smart people are scared of the right things." Miller was quiet for a moment. "Jake, if something happens to me, I want you to know that you do good work. This station runs smoothly because of people like you, Jake wanted to say something encouraging, but he didn't know what to say. Everyone knew Miller was about to die fighting a creature that had never been defeated. "The arena is ready." Commander Brooks's voice came over the communication system. "All personnel report to observation areas." Jake followed Miller toward the section of the station where the Krillian arena had been attached. Through the transparent walls, he could see Zekthor waiting in the center of the fighting circle. The alien was even more frightening in person. His claws were as long as kitchen knives, and his armored skin looked like it could stop bullets. Miller stopped at the entrance to the arena and looked back at the assembled human crew. Everyone was there, all 300 people who lived and worked on the station. Their faces showed fear, sadness, and pride for their captain who was about to sacrifice himself for them. "For humanity," Miller said, and stepped toward the arena entrance. But Jake Morrison had made a decision that would change everything. He stepped out from the crowd. "Wait," he said. Everyone turned to look at Jake Morrison as he stepped out from the crowd. Captain Miller stopped walking toward the arena entrance and stared at the small maintenance worker in confusion. "Jake, what are you doing?" Commander Brooks asked. "I want to fight instead," Jake said quietly. The entire human crew went silent. Even through the arena's transparent walls, Jake could see Zekthor's 6 eyes focusing on him with interest. Captain Miller shook his head. "Jake, this isn't a game. That thing will kill you in seconds." "Maybe," Jake said. "But you'll die too. At least if I go, you'll still be alive to protect everyone else." "Absolutely not," Commander Brooks said firmly. "Jake, I appreciate your courage, but Captain Miller is our best fighter. He has training and experience." Jake looked at the massive alien waiting in the arena. Zekthor was easily twice the size of Captain Miller, and probably 4 times stronger. The creature's claws could cut through metal, and his armored skin looked like it could stop bullets. Miller's training wouldn't matter against something like that. "Commander," Jake said, "with respect, Captain Miller is going to lose. We all know it. The only question is how long he can last." The brutal honesty of Jake's words hit everyone hard, but no one could argue with it. "So why should you go instead?" Dr. Rodriguez asked. Jake thought about the question. "Because I fix things for a living, and right now our biggest problem is that monster. Maybe I can figure out how to fix this situation too." Before anyone could stop him, Jake walked toward the arena entrance. The energy barrier recognized him and let him pass through. Captain Miller tried to follow, but the barrier had sealed itself shut. Jake found himself standing on the metal platform facing the most dangerous predator in the known galaxy. Up close, Zekthor was even more terrifying. The alien's breathing sounded like wind blowing through a cave, and Jake could smell something sharp and chemical coming from the creature's skin. "What is this?" Zekthor asked, looking down at Jake, with all 6 eyes. "They send me a child?" "I'm 26 years old," Jake said. Zekthor made that grinding laugh sound again. "You are barely half my height and look like you weigh nothing. Are the humans mocking me?" Jake could hear his crewmates shouting through the arena walls, telling him to come back, but the energy barrier wouldn't let him leave now. He was committed to this fight. "I'm not mocking you," Jake said. "I'm here to fight." "This will not even be entertaining," Zekthor said. "I will try to make your death quick." The alien moved faster than Jake expected. One moment Zekthor was standing still. The next moment his massive clawed hand was swinging toward Jake's head with enough force to crush a car. But Jake wasn't there anymore. He had dropped to the ground and rolled to the side, moving with the quick reflexes of someone who had spent years avoiding moving machinery and hot pipes in tight spaces. Zekthor's claws hit nothing but air. The alien spun around, surprised. "Lucky dodge, small one. It will not happen again." Zekthor attacked again, this time with both hands, trying to grab Jake and crush him. But Jake slipped between the aliens, massive arms like water flowing around rocks. He had spent 5 years crawling through spaces that were too small for normal people. Moving around obstacles was natural to him. "Hold still," Zekthor growled, growing frustrated. Jake didn't answer. He was too busy studying his opponent. This was what he did best: look at a problem and figure out how it worked. Zekthor was big and strong and fast, but he was also heavy. When he swung his massive arms, his whole body had to move to keep balance. When he turned, he had to plant his feet carefully because of his size. Jake began to see patterns in the alien's movements. Zekthor favored his right side slightly, probably from an old injury. His left arm was a fraction of a second slower than his right. When he got angry, he attacked more aggressively, but less carefully. The fight continued for 10 minutes. Then, 20. Jake dodged and rolled and slipped away from every attack. He never tried to hit the alien back. His small fists wouldn't hurt something covered in natural armor anyway. Instead, he just kept moving, studying, learning. Through the arena walls, Jake could see the shocked faces of his crewmates. They had expected him to die in the first few seconds. But he was still alive, and apparently unhurt. Zekthor was breathing, harder now. Fighting someone who wouldn't stay still was more work than he was used to. Most opponents either ran away in terror or stood and fought until he killed them. This human did neither. "What kind of coward are you?" Zekthor demanded. "Fight like a warrior." "I am fighting," Jake said, dodging another swipe. "Just not the way you expected." Jake was getting tired too, but not as tired as the massive alien. Years of crawling through maintenance tunnels had given him good endurance. More importantly, he was starting to understand exactly how Zekthor moved, and why. The alien was built for killing prey that was afraid of him. His attacks were designed to terrify and overwhelm opponents who would panic when faced with his size and strength. But Jake wasn't panicking. He was thinking. 30 minutes into the fight, Zekthor made his first real mistake. Frustrated and tired, he lunged forward with both arms spread wide, trying to corner Jake against the arena wall. It was a move that would have trapped any normal opponent, but Jake had been waiting for exactly this kind of opening. Instead of dodging to either side, he dropped flat on his back and rolled directly between Zekthor's legs. The alien's own momentum carried him forward into the arena wall with a loud crash. Zekthor roared in anger and spun around. But now Jake was behind him. For the first time in the fight, Jake went on the attack. He jumped onto the alien's back and wrapped his arms around Zekthor's neck, not trying to choke him but just holding on. "Get off me," Zekthor bellowed, reaching back with his claws. But Jake was in the one place the alien couldn't reach, directly behind his head, between his shoulders. Zekthor spun and twisted, trying to grab the human, but Jake held on tight. The alien began to panic. For the first time in his life, Zekthor couldn't reach his opponent. He was stronger and bigger and more dangerous, but none of that mattered if he couldn't actually touch his target. Zekthor threw himself backward, trying to crush Jake against the arena wall. Jake let go at the last second and rolled away as the massive alien slammed into the metal barrier. The impact shook the entire arena. When Zekthor turned around, Jake could see something new in the alien's 6 eyes. It wasn't anger anymore. It was fear. Jake Morrison, the smallest and weakest human on the station, had done something no creature in the galaxy had ever done before. He had made the great War Prime Zekthor afraid. Zekthor stared at Jake with his 6 yellow eyes, and for the first time in the fight, the massive alien looked uncertain. The War Prime had never encountered an opponent like this before. Every creature he had ever fought either ran away in terror or attacked him directly. This small human did neither. "What are you?" Zekthor asked, his voice quieter now. Jake wiped sweat from his forehead. The fight had lasted almost an hour, much longer than anyone had expected. "I'm a maintenance worker. I fix things that are broken." "I am not broken," Zekthor snarled. But there was less confidence in his voice than before. "Maybe not broken," Jake said, still moving slowly around the edge of the arena. "But you're not working the way you want to, are you?" Through the arena walls, Jake could see the amazed faces of his crewmates. Commander Brooks had her hand pressed against the transparent barrier, watching in disbelief. Captain Miller stood next to her, shaking his head like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. Dr. Rodriguez was recording everything on her datapad, her eyes wide with wonder. Zekthor attacked again, but his movements were different now. He was thinking too much, second-guessing himself. The simple, overwhelming attacks he had used at the beginning of the fight were gone. Now he was careful, watching Jake's movements, trying to predict what the human would do next. But that was exactly what Jake wanted. When Zekthor fought on instinct, he was dangerous and unpredictable. When he fought with his brain, he became just another system that Jake could understand and solve. Jake began to move in a pattern, circling the arena in the same direction each time. He let Zekthor see the pattern, let the alien think he could predict where Jake would go next. After several circles, Zekthor positioned himself to intercept Jake at what should have been the next point in the pattern. Instead, Jake suddenly reversed direction and ran straight at the alien. Zekthor, expecting Jake to dodge away as he had done dozens of times before, was caught completely off guard. Jake slid between the alien's legs again, but this time he grabbed one of Zekthor's ankles as he passed. The alien's own weight and momentum worked against him. With his balance disrupted, Zekthor crashed to the arena floor with a sound like thunder. The impact was so hard that Jake felt the vibration through the metal platform. Zekthor tried to get up quickly, but Jake was already moving. He jumped onto the alien's back again, but this time he didn't try to hold on. Instead, he used Zekthor's armored shell like a springboard, bouncing off and landing several feet away before the alien could grab him. "Impossible," Zekthor whispered, pulling himself to his feet. "No prey has ever—" "I'm not prey," Jake said simply, "and you're not as scary as you think you are." Those words seemed to hit Zekthor harder than any physical blow could have. The alien stood very still for a moment, and Jake could see something changing in his 6 eyes. "You do not fear me," Zekthor said. "It wasn't a question. I was afraid." At first, Jake admitted, "But fear doesn't help you fix things. You have to understand the problem before you can solve it." "And what problem are you solving?" Jake gestured at the arena around them. "This. You challenged us to prove humans are strong, but you're measuring strength wrong." Zekthor tilted his massive head. "How am I measuring it wrong? You think strength means being the biggest and having the sharpest claws, but real strength is being able to solve problems even when they seem impossible." The alien was quiet for a long moment. Around the arena, Jake could see that other Krillians had appeared at the windows of their ships, watching the fight. Word of what was happening had spread through the alien fleet. "You have not defeated me," Zekthor said finally. "You have only avoided me." "That's true," Jake agreed, "but I've been avoiding you for over an hour. How long can you keep trying to catch me? How long before you get too tired to fight?" Zekthor looked down at his own body. The alien was breathing hard, and sweat was dripping from his armored skin. Meanwhile, Jake looked tired but not exhausted. The human's smaller size meant he used less energy with each movement. "This is not how combat works," Zekthor said, but he sounded confused rather than angry. "It's how human combat works," Jake replied. "We don't try to be stronger than our problems. We try to be smarter." Zekthor made a sound that might have been laughter, but it was different from his earlier cruel sounds. This seemed almost admiring. "Show me," the alien said suddenly. "Show you what?" "Show me how you would defeat me if you truly could." Jake hesitated. "I don't want to hurt you." "You cannot hurt me, small one. My armor is too strong. But show me your strategy." Jake thought about it for a moment, then nodded. "Okay. But remember, you asked." What happened next was so fast that most of the watching humans missed it. Jake ran directly at Zekthor, but at the last second he dropped and slid across the smooth arena floor. As he passed under the alien, he grabbed both of Zekthor's ankles and pulled them in opposite directions. The massive alien toppled backward like a falling tree. His great weight and the arena's metal floor combined to create an impact that shook the entire station. Zekthor lay on his back, stunned, while Jake scrambled to his feet. Before the alien could recover, Jake was on top of him. The human placed his hands on Zekthor's throat, not to choke him but to show that he could have. If Jake had been holding a weapon, or if he had been trying to hurt the alien, the fight would have been over. "I win," Jake said quietly. Zekthor lay still for a moment, his 6 eyes staring up at the ceiling of the arena. Then slowly he began to laugh. It was a real laugh this time, not the cruel sound he had made before. "Yes," Zekthor said. "You win." Jake climbed off the alien and helped him sit up. Around them, the arena was completely silent. Everyone watching, humans and Krillians alike, seemed unable to believe what they had just seen. "I have fought for 300 years, Zekthor said, looking at Jake with something like respect. "I have defeated creatures twice my size and warriors with natural weapons sharper than any blade, but I have never fought anyone like you." "I'm just a maintenance worker," Jake said. "No," Zekthor replied. "You are something much more dangerous than that. You are a problem solver." The alien stood up slowly, his massive frame casting a shadow over Jake. But now the shadow didn't seem threatening. It seemed almost protective. "War Prime Zekthor of the Krillian Empire," the alien said formally, "acknowledges the victory of Jake Morrison of the human species. Let it be known throughout the galaxy that humans are not prey. They are problem solvers, and that makes them the most dangerous species of all." The arena's energy barrier shut down, and Jake walked out to find himself surrounded by his amazed crewmates. Commander Brooks grabbed him in a hug, tears in her eyes. Captain Miller clapped him on the shoulder, grinning widely. Dr. Rodriguez was already composing reports about what would surely become the most famous fight in galactic history. But Jake just wanted to get back to work. There were probably a dozen systems on the station that needed attention after all the excitement. He had problems to solve, and that was what he did best. The galaxy would never look at humans the same way again.